to the Dunn Wisdom Morning Show. My name is Melissa Dunn. I'm the CEO of MD Marketing Network and the founder of DunnWisdom. I'm also a candidate for Lauderhill City Commission seat 2. My goodness, what a day we had here yesterday. If you joined us, you noticed that we came on live at least twice during the day yesterday because it was election day in Broward County. And we wanted to make sure and encourage everyone to go out and vote. And I'm assuming that you did. The vote registration went really well. So thank you for those of you who rocked with us yesterday and went out and voted. So today we are continuing with our normal format. I am bringing on a woman that is very special. She's actually a part of my coaching journey. She was one of the staff coach for International Coaching Global, where I got my coaching certification. And in addition to that, she is just a really amazing, wonderful woman. So ladies and gentlemen, help me to welcome Miss Claudine Chiarmonte. Did I say your name right?
It's close. It was close. Yeah, Chiarmonte. Yes.
Chiarmonte. There we go. Welcome so much to the show. Thank you for joining us. Now, I know you as an amazing coach because I've experienced you as such through the 9 months that I went through ICG. But I'm hoping that today we'll get a chance to talk. So I'll also get to know you better as a woman and as an individual coach, right?
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you? You're in the Palm Beach, right?
I am in Boynton Beach, Florida. I've been down here for about a little over 2 years. And I am both a professional certified coach through ICG, also Ideal Global Coaching, as well as I'm a licensed clinical social worker for 35 years. So that's what I have done as my expression in service. It's one of my principles. I love connecting with people.
Do you know that my very first job out of college, I was a case manager for a junior high school in Brooklyn. So we have that in common too.
Okay, Brooklyn. I had no idea you were from Brooklyn.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Jamaica, but when I graduated from college, I moved to New York the first time. And yeah, I worked with kids. I offered them individual and group counseling, kids who were having trouble academically.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So here's the common link too. My mother and father are from Brooklyn.
I love it.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. My mother's been down here for 30 something years. She still sounds like a Brooklynite. Yeah, there's just ways she says things.
No, there is a certain amount of energy and flow from folks who are from Brooklyn, man. You could always tell.
Yes. They keep it real.
Yeah, girl, they do. We do for sure. So what made you decide to go from social work into coaching?
I would say that it was a shift in perspective. So I've been a therapist for a very long time, and my specialty was and is still children and family. I'm an advocate for youth and families. But for me, it always came from there was something to be fixed. There was something wrong, right? There had to be a presenting problem. And we, as a state of New Jersey, it's where I practice, had our standards that we imposed on our families and child welfare. And it didn't speak to me as the years went on. I will say I had an event about 5 years ago next week that really changed my life. I had a severe car accident. I didn't walk for many months. And in that space of being in rehab and not walking and being at home, I really was like, I need to get the lesson. What was this about? And that really shifted, started opening up doors for me. I've always been a searcher. I've always been a journey person using therapies and, interpersonal groups. But I really got exposed to transformational training about that time, a little after the car accident and I had recovered. And that had me for the first time see that people are perfect and whole as they are. There's nothing to fix.
Yes.
And I tried to go back and I just couldn't go back because the new paradigm didn't support the old, way I was functioning in how I viewed people. And that was really, and I was with my first coach. I was like, this is what it's about, that people are their own experts, that they have everything they need. They just need someone to call it forth. Maybe take the veils off of their blind spots and have them experience their own wonderment about themselves. And from there on, it was a changing experience. I will let you know.
Imagine. Tell us a little bit about your car accident. How was that for you? I imagine. Well, you said it was. How long were you in rehab and unable to walk?
I was on my way to work, actually meeting the feds because, I worked for the state of New Jersey. I was a director of quality assurance, and it was like 6:30 in the morning, got hit head on by a drug driver. And I go tell you, went into shock after that. I can remember aspects. I was in the hospital for about a week and in trauma care. And then I went to rehab for about 5 weeks. And then I convalesced at home, and I didn't walk again until my cousin Chris and Lori's wedding 2 days before. They finally got me up out on my feet. It was in December, and I took my first steps, using crutches. It was a very humbling experience. I will tell you, Melissa, I've been a very independent woman and didn't show needs. And I surrendered, but it brought me to my knees. I needed the hammer. I didn't get the message by a feather, and very humbling. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the people who were my advocates, who cared for me, particularly at that time, a partner, and my family. My tribe kept me high and kept me going so that I could come through it and get the lessons that I needed to. And I would say it was difficult at times. It was difficult, and I was open to receive whatever was mine and say, I took this and I'm going to now move forward. How can I use this to leverage my next step forward? And like I said, for me, that really was transforming my life. I ultimately left New Jersey. I left the job. I sold my home, and I started a new career in all of a matter of about a year and a half. Things just started to shift.
What were your greatest lessons? What did you learn?
I learned that I'm accountable for everything. I didn't lay in that bed and ever experience myself as the victim of that gentleman's choice, that I too had choice that day. And that empowered me. It didn't make me feel like, oh, I'm weaker. It empowered me to own then, now what do I want? Then what's next? If this was that choice and this is what it produced, what do I want to create? I knew I am a woman of principle, service, integrity, family, and compassion. And so what was my next expression of that going to be? And I would tell you, that's what I surrendered into, is to receive what that was going to be, but that I was accountable and that I had choices that day.
That's such a powerful lesson to learn, because, you got hit by a drunk driver. Your life changed.
Yes.
And somehow you were connected enough with yourself that you were to say, well, what choices could I have made to make it different? Hey, Christopher is saying, yes, she's amazing. And then Marie is saying, hello. Maria, sorry. And then she's amazing. Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I want to explore. Colette says, good morning. Good morning, Colette. All right. Thank you for joining us, Olga. And Debbie, yes. New Jersey misses you.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim. Hey,
yes.
Thank you for watching, our fellow ICG person. He was in my generation.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, so I want to explore that a little bit, if you don't mind. This whole idea that we all have choice. I know a lot of people that's going through trauma right now. And a lot of times when that happens to you, your first instinct is to say, woe is me. Your first instinct is perhaps to be upset at the perpetrator. How did you come to that realization that you had choice as well? And how did you go about forgiving the person and forgiving yourself?
They're great questions. I can remember literally being on the phone with my aunt in rehab and saying, I've got to get this. I've got to get the lesson. And my family being a little outraged, like, what lesson? Like, yeah, I brought this to myself. I created this. And at that time I had gone through transformational work, and it was enough that I knew my life, right? I had already been a journey person. And I sat with that and like, okay. And I couldn't believe, I could say, yeah, I got up late and I did this and I stopped for that. yes, they're all the actions I took that day, but really, what was I creating in my life? I was traveling 2.5 hours each way to work. And for a paycheck that wasn't bringing joy. I didn't feel like I was living in service any longer to my principles. I was now an administrator in a state system that I was in strong disagreement with. And it wasn't fulfilling. And so that's where I sat back with. Did I probably have some victim moments? Oh, sure. And at the same time, I knew that I wanted something different. I wanted a life of joy and freedom. And I had experienced this through some coaching. And so it started a journey. I'm going to be really honest with you. It didn't happen like, okay, I went through the legal procedures. I wrote my statement of impact for the courts. I looked at the financial impact, and this is a man who had no insurance, by the way. So there wasn't any huge payout for this accident. And what I got to was, I got to connect back to my body. And that was where my forgiveness was, is that I operated from here up often, and I have a huge heart. It's one of my superpowers is compassion. Yes. And yet there was an integration that wasn't occurring between my incredible intelligence and my heart. And that had me in my body, right? Rehab has you in your body. I was wearing a metal, jacket on top of my body because I had broken my spine, right? Everything was about my body. I went from a life of overweightness. So I stood out in that way, right? Like, you can't get close to me because I am, I'm sheltered by my weight. And now all the focus was on me from a whole different perspective. It was all about honoring my body, the strength of my body, the resiliency. And it was actually through some body work that I did come to that, Melissa, which was reestablishing trust with myself, particularly my body. And it was some coaching that I had. I have a peace treaty. It's right in front of me with myself. And it's really about my body, touching it, acknowledging it, being grateful for all aspects. It has carried me, right? It has healed me. It still brings me forth for the things that I'm passionate about, my sports and my playfulness and my dancing. But it's a process. It was really a process. And it's still the place that I get to. I go here because when I'm in disconnection, it will occur here. And I do know that. And most of my family and friends do. So once I can return to my stoma, I can return to me again. And that's an ongoing process.
It is. It never changes. People think, okay, you've gone through transformation and then that's it. But that's the journey and the joy of life. That's why it's such a fun game to play, right?
It is.
Because you're like, it's being, to use Abraham Hicks' metaphor, it's like being on and off of the merry-go-round, right? Sometimes you fall off and then you just jump back on.
Yes. In our family, we call it the vortex. Yeah.
The vortex. There you go.
Are you in the vortex?
Yeah,
and when I'm out of the vortex, that means I'm out of my body. So I'm really.
The thing that I thought was so really powerful about what you just said a while ago is the way how you described the life that you were living before. Mm-hmm. And so for you, you were out of integrity with what you knew your heart really wanted.
Yes.
And then now you're free to make a different choice.
Exactly.
So what was that process like? So you mentioned that you made the move to, I'm assuming, Florida, right? That was the move?
I did make the
You completely changed your environment. You quit your job, you got a new profession, and you was like, okay, out of Jersey.
Yep. Out of Jersey in Florida. I have no regrets. It's been a wonderful 2 years. I'm closer to my tribe, and that's both my family of transformation, gratitude, my family that's down here, some friends that are down here. It has been a journey. I'm not going to tell you it hasn't been. It's been a great experience. And for me, it was making a declaration. And I still shy from certain declarations, right? Like, I have the power to create that. Like, oh my God. And I can remember making that declaration that I would move and change my life in a class that I was taking, Living in Mastery. And it has unfolded, more beautifully than I could have seen. But it was from like, what is life in integrity and what is life in living in integrity and vision? And that is really what has manifested for me. And I've been so fortunate to have the mentors that I have had. And I always have. I will tell you, Melissa, when I look back on my career as both a social worker and now as a coach, I've had extraordinary women that I have had an opportunity to work with. I could tell you all the way back to my first supervisor, to people in high school, to people in graduate school. There have been women who have mentored and championed me all the way up to this moment. And
isn't that a great feeling when other women are like, okay, come on, sister, let's go. You've got this. I love it. I love it. It fuels me.
Mm-hmm. And that's my inspiration, is to also be that for others, other women to, they claim their power, claim their voice, to hold them high into their greatest possibilities.
Well, that's been my experience of you for sure.
Thank you.
For sure. So we have another thing in common. I heard you say that you went through gratitudes. Well, I went through Summit Education. That was my transformation start in 2010. I took Ken and Kathy Cushman's Summit program in Fort Lauderdale. Actually, it was in Lauderhill. Oh, look at that. It was
full circle for you.
It was at the Inverary Hotel in Lauderhill. How funny. That just landed for me a minute ago. And look, now I'm living in Lauderhill, like literally in walking distance from that same hotel, and I'm running for commissioner in the city, where I had my transformation breakthrough 10 years ago.
Wow, that is extraordinary. Woo,
look at that. You're coaching me, and you didn't even know you're coaching me, girl. That was awesome. Dang, you just landed for me. Wow, I'm getting goosebumps. Yeah. So speaking of which, tell us about your coaching. How is that coming along?
It's evolving. I have to say, I've had great coaches, so I understood what great coaching was. And so when I first graduated from ICG, I created my coaching company called Connective Coaching and Training. I am in the belief that when we are connected to self, we can create anything in the domains of our choice, right? It starts with interconnection, our own alignment, and then, of course, how we have our connections in our life. And it's been an evolving experience. I said to you earlier, I'm in this space of relaunching, right? I'm rebranding and realizing as I evolve, so does my coaching and what I call forth. So I have now really started to narrow. I have some niches that I really I'm committed to. One of them being I work with executive women who have experienced weight loss and want to reclaim their beauty, power, and belonging. And that's part of my journey also. I know I didn't share that. And the other is being a mental fitness coach and really rewiring our brain, right? We have our automatics and we have our self-limiting stories. And wherever
a mental fitness coach? Help me understand that. What's that?
Well, just as we go to the gym.
I know what it is, but
yeah. So, we have been wired, right, to make our right-hand turns. I'll just say it's our automatic. It's our self-limiting story we go to, right? I'm not enough. I have to have it my way, or my controlling piece. However, the saboteur, I'll just call it that, right? The self-limiting story is your saboteur. Yep. And we have different types, right? The stickler, who's the perfectionist, or the hyperachiever, that it's all about my accomplishments. And when that takes over, we are on automatic. And what we're talking about with mental fitness is creating more opportunities for choice and rewiring the brain, right? So where we go, right, where we fire, we wire. So we want to have we don't want to go in automatic and go right-hand turn. And we want to make, oh, wait a second. What would my elder wise self say? What would the sage in me say? Where's my opportunity to explore, to navigate, to come to agreement, so that we're not shutting down the opportunity with a no, right? With no, if it's not my way, I'm not part of this. Or, I'm the victim. No, if it can't be my way, then I don't want to be part of it. So we're working with people, and it's in a very advanced piece of work, meaning it's based on like positive psychology and cognitive therapy. And positive intelligence is by a man named Shirzad Shermain. And he also has like an app literally on your phone. It's like you go to gym on your phone, and it's like, okay, here's your coach challenge for the day. And you get 3 of them. You get reflection questions, weekly pod groups, all about like being in the space of awareness. What's occurring so you have other choices? You really first get to, audit where you are so that you have that awareness and that you can take a different action to move yourself forward.
Right.
And that's what mental fitness is about.
I love that name, mental fitness coach. So the marketer in me right now Yeah, Lori. Listen, girl. I'm hearting this too. Make sure. Okay, Lori. I had to put on my glasses for a minute. But listen, I am. Hey, good morning, Miss Joy. Thank you for watching. She's watched every single day practically since March.
That's beautiful.
When we started this as a response to me being a contribution during the COVID pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
But I, as the marketer in me right now, at the thought of mental fitness coach, I'm so like I'm doing cartwheels because people are familiar with the concept of a physical fitness coach.
Exactly.
And so kudos to you and your marketing team for coming up with that. I'm just seeing the commercials in my head right now.
Really? Well, then I get to talk to you after this.
So, oh my gosh. Yeah, no, that's beautiful. So are you going to be rolling out like a program or something that'll help people to get it?
Yeah, I will in September be rolling out a boot camp, a mental fitness boot camp, and people could learn more about it. I think my information is in the bio. They can certainly have a free discovery call to learn more about that. But yeah, and again, it will also have some group coaching with me and the pod, because it's also about accountability, right? So when we have a team, we can really hold each other accountable to what we're up to. And so there's all those aspects, right? There is reading the book, watching the videos on positive intelligence, having your app, but also having your own team, and then having group coaching on top of that. So we're really setting people up for a win-win in all ways. And again, this is the expansion of my training, right? As I expand as a coach, my offerings expand.
For sure.
Yeah, and I'm about people having the best life they can, and really, again, having agency and having choice in their lives.
I love that. Mental fitness boot camp. How long is the boot camp going to be?
It is 6 weeks long. And yeah, and you really will see elements of change in 6 weeks. I can guarantee that. And it has the opportunity, like the app, you can go further with the app and keep it. I have it on my phone. I have other, clients and friends that have it. And it's a daily reminder of stop, think, pause. Right? Where am I?
I love it. Do you know why I'm so excited about this boot camp idea? Is because a lot of times people right before the new year, they take on New Year's resolution. So for me, it sounds like launching in September, right? So then you'll have up until September, October, maybe going into November to kind of take yourself on a little bit, figure out where you need to change. Yeah. So that when you do make those New Year's resolution, that you're more prepared to stick to them.
Yes. And particularly because of the awareness is so heightened, right? Like anytime we call something forward, we see it more often, right? So we're then have the ability to go like, oh, there you go. There's my little saboteur showing up, wanting to, right? Like change my direction again and go, no, like in this moment, I can go a different way. And that is the muscle that we're really looking to develop here. For all of us,
and
constantly.
That. Do you know what? Yeah. I have a women's group called Women Getting It Done on Facebook. I know you're a member. Perhaps we can work something out where maybe you can do like a quick Facebook Live for the women in the group, where you can kind of walk them through some of the lessons.
More than happy to.
Yeah, we'll talk about that offline. I think that would really serve. We have close to 400 women in that group. I think that would really serve them well. And so Maria's saying, oh, right. You're a connected transformational mental fitness coach. All right. Fantastic.
Yes.
Melissa, yay for the she watched yesterday, on Monday, where I didn't have my glasses on. So yes, girl, I get it today. And Annie is saying she's curious how your clients' mental fitness needs changed during the pandemic.
That's a fantastic question. So thank you, Anne. I will tell you, and I've shared this with a lot of people, it was like watching this shift occur. And I'm going to just use an analogy because I'm a visual person. We have a rubber band. A rubber band can extend itself for just so long. And the pandemic, let's just take that. You can stretch, each other for 1 or 2 months. But now we're in month 6, and rubber bands lose their effectiveness, their elasticity. So what I've seen in my clients too was like, I can get through this. We can they can button down and people went into a real core place. Like, I need protection and safety, our primary things. Let's make sure we're taking care of our health, our physical needs, our family. And then there's started to be that wariness that started to occur. Some anger came up, right? Suspicion. And now I'm going to tell you, some people have really been like, I'm done. I'm just done. I can't stay extended in this long a time. Our coping skills really start to thin out, just like the rubber band gets ineffective. And so the colleagues and friends and clients that I have using the app, it has given them an opportunity to see what's the voice that's having them be in that space of, I can't do this anymore, or I'm just suspicious. I'm going to believe in all these, conspiracy theories, or the people who are going, well, I don't want to wear the mask because I'm not comfortable, right? Like, where we're in this place of division, and we're creating separateness. So I believe, like, having the coaching, and particularly having the mental fitness app for many of my clients, including myself, is really given pause to allow another response, to be in response and not constantly be in reaction to what's occurring, right? So, right, it's like the question, love or fear. What do you want to be in? What do you want to come from? And fear will beget, right? It's continuing to stretch. Love will have the rubber band go back and go, okay, I can surrender into this new normal. And what is it now that I want to generate from this space, from this time? Not this one. I want that back. And so there's this constant living in the past, but I want that back. We don't know if it's going to come. So I would tell you the mental fitness needs have changed. And I continue to see them change because I have a corporate coaching position. I am also a corporate coach. So I coach people from Maine all the way to Alaska and Hawaii. And you really can see a shift occurring throughout our country as we're going into, there's no end date, right? This is not like a beginning and middle. So how do I want to be then?
It's our new normal. It's our new normal. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And Maria is saying great metaphor. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. It's our new normal. And I have to be honest and say that I kind of struggle with it a little bit myself because now I get to be out campaigning. I get to meet people all the time. And for example, yesterday, my team and I, we were on the ground from like 6 o'clock in the morning to about 7 or 8 o'clock last night. And getting in touch with people because we were working the polls. And now that I'm home, I'm going to take the morning off. But I find myself like checking, do I have a scratchy throat? Do I? From a health perspective. And I'm really clear that it's psychological, and I'm working through my steps to kind of release that fear and then just land back into my body and take my echinacea. But it's real, and we're all trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate what you said, because one of the things that I've observed about you is you anchor yourself in ritual. And that is one thing that, if we're working together as a client, I'm all about anchoring in rituals, right? That is our part of our foundation. I would say our principles are also, if we're thinking about building a house, is what grounds us, what creates, where do we draw our strength? Where do we connect to our source, however we define that? And I think it is the rituals, both health, spiritual, our wellness, right? Our intimacy, it's what we can count on, what we generate each day. And I know you have yours that you share with us.
I do. And Lori is asking, what is your morning? Perfect timing, Lori.
Yes.
What is your morning rituals to start a mental fitness day?
For me, I start with intentions. I will meditate. I draw upon in my meditation what comes forward as my intentions for that day. I will offer them up, release them from my heart into the world, and I check in and see how they occur throughout my day. And I usually share them with my partner. And as well, I will do a mental fitness app. So that will have another form of meditation or imagery that I will follow on my. I'm doing this because it's my cell phone. And when inspired, I will journal. I don't journal every day. I am someone who journals, though. And at this time, I'm also finding my rhythm because I've started a book, and I get to also create and generate in that area.
Author.
Yes.
Come with creativity. Beautiful.
Yes. Thank you. So that's mine. And I feel like there's always a space of enriching rituals, expanding. I am someone who loves them. People who know me, if it's prayer at meal, or if it's a peace pipe ceremony, or a sweat lodge, the coming together and creating that sacred space. And I believe that's what rituals also do. It creates a beginning, middle, and end in which something occurs, and we stop, pause, and have our sacred moment with that.
So Anne is saying that's a great explanation. She says, "Thank you. Love the idea of the app."
Yeah.
And hey, good morning, Sophia. Thank you for watching. Sophia is one of the women from my Women's Foundation of Florida group.
Wonderful.
Hey, mommy. That's my mommy, Georgia Lopez. Good morning, mom. And Ethel, she's from my Black Girls Run group. She's saying it is psychological. Precautions, though. Stay safe, doing all you can, yet not living in fear. Balance, wisdom, God bless. Thank you. That's what I'm saying to myself, Ethel. You know what? This is the new normal. And we are going to practice social distancing, but we still have to live. Okay, what's a great option for a mental fitness app? What would you recommend?
I'm not sure that. So the one app that I've been talking about, no one else has. So I will tell you that the one from Positive Intelligence, I don't believe anyone does. But I will say the app I use most is Insight Timer. And what I like about that, yes, it has guided meditation, has, quiet meditation, chanting. It also has some extraordinary people who have created, I would say, meditative affirmations. Sarah Brolin is one of my favorite on there. She is extraordinary. So Insight Timer, and it's a free app. So I recommend that one for anyone who really wants to have another mindfulness piece.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Thanks again, Lori. So Sophia she says, I like the idea of journaling when inspired. Sometimes that represents the answer to a question or a private intention. And then Maria says, do you recommend having to have partnerships for accountability?
Completely. I really do. I think that's where we get our advancement. That's where we get some traction, is having accountability. And that can look very different for everybody, by the way. And so it could be your friend. It could be, someone who you're doing something in common with. And I always in coaching ask that question, who can support you? Because part of it is also building connection, right? It's for accountability. And sometimes people go, I don't have anybody. Like, really? You don't have anybody? Is it really about, I don't have anyone? I don't want to ask. I don't want to put forth my request because there's something I'm afraid it may not be honored. So really, that's a very different place. But I am all about accountability. I really do think that is one of the places that we bring forth, our declarations.
Okay. And then Christopher wants to know, what is your favorite book?
So right now, everyone knows it's Untamed. I have been recommending, I bought it for my clients, my female clients. It's a book by Glennon Doyle. I just finished it. It's complete, but I continue to give that gift. I just saw that our house received 2 copies yesterday for both my partner and her best friend. So I am a big part of that particular book. And I think because for me, it is about reclaiming voice, my voice. It's not about pleasing any longer. And I love the place of stop explaining and apologizing for who I am. Like, there's no need for justification. This is who I am. Accept me as who I am.
As you are. Full, perfect, and complete.
Got it. Exactly.
And Olga is saying, good morning. What are your sources of inspiration?
Plentiful. I don't know that I have one, right? I know that it's my connection to God as I define that experience. It's probably my primary, but my inspiration comes from many sources. I have extraordinary friends, and Olga's one of them. What a powerful human being Olga is. It is my tribe. I consider my tribe my family and my close friends, my community. I believe nature is one of my inspirations, books and authors. I've had many sources of them, but I plug in, and I'm also an avid reader. So it's also the written word and the spoken word for me. I'm an auditory person, but I'm also an avid reader. So I would say I am an absorber. You know, I'm an explorer, so I continue to seek and let what lands on me, lands on me. What book shall fall into my hands will when it's meant to be, right? The sight that's supposed to be in front of me will occur when it's supposed to occur. So I seek, sources of inspiration, not so actively, but they appear when it's the perfect timing. Yeah.
Isn't that awesome when that happens? I can't tell you how many times I am in my prayer meditation, I ask a question, and sometimes the answer doesn't come right then and there, but at some point throughout the day, something will show up, and that's the answer.
Exactly.
I love when that happens. So do you have any final words of wisdom for us?
My words of wisdom that I live by, one of my mantras, is trust and surrender. And for me, it's more than just those two words. It's the embodiment of that. Return home, surrender that, God, the universe, the source has laid it out all perfectly. And we get to trust that. And it's an active invitation to trust and surrender. So that would be my words of wisdom, and continue to connect to your source. That's my words of wisdom.
I love that. Trust, surrender, and connect. How beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your words of wisdom with us today. And I'll talk to you about perhaps doing, we're going to start doing a monthly event for women in our group to connect. So I'd love to invite you to be one of our light bearers, if you will.
It'd be my pleasure. It's always a pleasure to be in your space. Congratulations all that you're accomplishing, and good luck in November.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Thank you so much. All right.
My blessing. Thank you, Melissa. All right.
Thank you so much for watching today's episode of the DunnWisdom Morning Show. What a great way to start the day today. Please join me back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. for our Talk to Coach Dunn Thursday. And hopefully we will be able to continue to connect throughout the week. On Friday, we're going to be spotlighting another Lauderhill business, Miss Eula from Insurance Today. She actually is my insurance broker here in the city of Lauderhill. I'm passionate about doing business locally first, and I encourage you to shop wherever you are. So thank you again for joining us. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Remember, be kind and loving to yourself today. You deserve it.